All victims that we know of have been identified. We are working to identify the victim nationalities, and we're working with CBSA, Passport Canada, and Global Affairs Canada.
Vancouver police said that the investigation is continuing around the circumstances of that deadly ramming incident at the Lapu-Lapu festival. They're confirming that 7 women, 2 men, 1 non-binary person and 1 child were killed. Vancouver's mayor says a comprehensive review is now underway. Ken Sim is also calling on the province to provide more mental health resources. And we're also learning more about the people who were killed on Saturday. And for that part of the story, I want to bring in CBC's Dan Burritt. Dan, we talked about some of those victims last hour, and I know that there's 11. There's many more stories to share.
Indeed, and we can see here we have a young child. There are mothers, there are friends, there are fathers, uncles, sisters. It's the broad array of every family you can really think of. Let's start first with Jenifer Darbellay there. She is believed to be a mother of 2. She and her husband, Noel Johansen, were at the Lapu-Lapu festival on Saturday. He says she was behind him when she was struck and killed. He was also badly injured. He says he's received so much support from the community despite being injured, and he spoke at a vigil on Monday.
What you see here is just an injury that means nothing to me because what's inside my heart is broken because my wife passed away behind me at the incident, and everything that you said, she would have said. And every time I think you hug someone, you should feel someone. And I felt everyone who hugged me since then, I felt her. She never celebrated herself in her life. She never thought of herself. She thought of herself as small in terms of the reach. And I can tell you she was larger than life for any of you who know her. So don't be small in life. Be big. Reach out. And reach out as a human being with everything you have. And please remember us that went through this.
I want to focus on another family now, the Lee family. There is Richard, there is Katie, and there is Lin Huang. This family has left behind a young teenage boy. All 3 of these of this family was killed. Richard's uncle says brother says his 16-year-old nephew Andy stayed at home for this event. He says Huang was his stepmom. There's his sister Katie, 5 years old, and says his stepmom raised him like he was her own.
Andy, I think he's still in a state of shock, and he's still processing everything. His entire life just changed overnight. He had dreams of going to university, and then he wanted to play professional badminton with the help of his father, he was coaching him.
Now, amid those who were killed, there were also others who were very seriously injured. 16 at last check, according to Vancouver Police. 5 listed in critical condition, 1 serious. There are others who have been discharged and others who police say may have gone to a hospital or a clinic on their own. All of the victims that we know of right now, Sarah, have been ID'd, but there is much more work to do. It's such a sprawling investigation.
And such a mix within those victims, as you say. I mean, this was a Filipino cultural festival, but it drew in crowds of people who are not necessarily a part of the Filipino community, and that speaks volumes, I think, about the Filipino community in Vancouver, that everyone would feel so welcome to be there. You mentioned there are people that were mourning the victims in Vancouver at various locations, but also right across the country.
Massive. We can see some of the images here. This is out of Winnipeg. There have been events in Toronto. There have been events planned in Charlottetown and in Calgary. There was another event earlier today at UBC. Our Michelle Elliott went out there and spoke with the Burnaby City Councillor Maita Santiago, who says she welcomes these investigations and justice is nothing less than what they're looking for.
This has shattered, absolutely shattered, right? The Filipino community, the Lower Mainland community, across Canada, around the world, people's lives have been changed forever. So it's important that when we do this investigation, that we really turn over every single stone that we need to. So everything from, the mental health system all the way down to the actual organizing, right, of that day.
And the BC government has now declared Friday, May 5th, an official day of remembrance and mourning for the victims of this tragedy, Sarah.
Dan, thank you very much. And we have now reached RJ Aquino. He is the chair of the Filipino B.C. and one of the organizers of the Lapu-Lapu Day block party. RJ, thank you so much for your time. You're currently at a memorial gathering honoring the victims of this tragic incident that took place on Saturday evening. I want to start just how are you feeling today? It's now several days since this has happened, but the memorial just continues to grow, and so does the outpouring of sadness.
Yeah, I think as the memorial continues to grow, I honestly, it's hard not to feel or get really emotional looking at it or driving past it. It's not just that the memorial is growing, but there's also a consistent presence of people. And even blocks away, I would see people walking with flowers in their hands, on their way to visit this memorial. And it's just one of several. There's a few others around the area that have popped up because it impacted, a large portion of the neighborhood, and people really want to come here and pay their respects.
I was at the scene on Sunday, and people were just starting at that point to bring flowers. And like you say, they were bringing them to various locations. There wasn't just one place. I think there were so many people coming out, and there were just flowers in pockets everywhere. What's the atmosphere like where you are right now? And what are you hearing from the people who are coming out and wanting to be together?
It's really somber. It's people just want to be present for each other. I think that's kind of the first step towards healing, towards finding peace, towards, accepting, maybe not understanding everything that's happened in the moment. Just feeling like you're not alone and not knowing how you feel or what you should feel. And, we've always said that it's okay to not know what you're feeling or how you're feeling, but it is going to be okay. And because we're all working together to make sure that everything is going to be okay.
This is a really hard question for me to ask because you are part of the organizing committee for the Lapu-Lapu Festival, and there's been a lot of talk, especially in the early hours, about, was there enough done? And I'm sure that's gone through your head. I can't even imagine how many times. But where do you sit with that, and how do you wrestle with the outcome here?
I think the team is just, we're responding or not responding or not acknowledging our feelings by just, I think we're all kind of on autopilot right now, thinking about what can we do to make sure that everyone's okay. And really, I commend kind of the culture that's been built around making an event like this happen. Like all of our volunteers wanted to first keep track of everybody, do a head count, make sure everybody's okay, make sure the staff, the community partners, the vendors, and everybody that we know who is associated is okay as this chaos is happening around us. And then late in the evening, only when we were kind of starting to decompress, did kind of the situation start to feel heavy. Everyone was on let's help each other mode, and I think that's kind of what we need to continue doing in order to make sure that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, gets done. And it's not just Filipino B.C. and the people involved, but the entire community. And that's the part that I get really emotional thinking about, is just the outpouring of support and how active and activated everyone is to get things going for the victims and to just get the community in the right place.
What kind of support are you feeling? Enough support from the government for the Filipino community right now? What more might your community be looking for here?
I'll have to say I'm extremely grateful for the response that the city, the province, they've been in close contact with us. We're coordinating a lot of things right now, and I know it sometimes feels slow because there's so many things that are happening that need immediate attention, but we're focusing on making sure that those directly impacted through sort of physical injuries and all of that get on the road to recovery. But there's all of us that are hurting, and you may not have been even present here, and you could be feeling the trauma. And we're discovering and talking to a lot of people that are hurting and trying to understand why something like this can happen. How can we heal from this? And the partnerships that we have with many stakeholders organizing to address those needs that in many ways are invisible around everyone's mental health has been, again, very uplifting. And there's going to be more to announce very soon as kind of the final pieces fall into place to directly address the challenges that many of us are experiencing.
RJ, you mentioned mental health, and the conversation around mental health has, I think, never been louder. It's certainly in Vancouver and throughout British Columbia, given what appears to have happened here. I don't have a lot of time here, but as that conversation is happening, and there are those who are looking to point fingers and blame, what's your message to those who are going through everything that they are and that you are going through right now as a result of Saturday night?
I mean, I would say, you're not alone. There's definitely somebody else feeling or not feeling or just not knowing what to feel, just like you. We want to be present for you. We want you to feel comfortable coming and getting help. And we want you to know that we're doing everything we can to reach you whenever and however possible. Mental health can be a taboo or is a taboo issue with different communities, and we want to remove that taboo. We want to open up the conversation and make sure everybody feels supported, feels like there's going to be somebody there for them and isn't going to dismiss their feelings and is going to help them work through it so that they heal and get to a better place.
An important message right now from RJ Aquino, Chair of Filipino B.C. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.